Welcome to this session on selecting an appropriate theoretical framework for undergraduate research. And in this video, we'll move beyond abstract definition and go to more practical tips. This particular video was inspired by questions and feedback from one of students who was very curious to ask more. So by the end of this session, you should be able to confidently justify your theoretical framework using clearly scholarly reasoning. So this guidance is particularly relevant for humanities, sciences, media studies, and interdisciplinary research. So I'll call this topic how to make strong academic decisions in your undergraduate video. If you watch the end, you have an idea of how to assess resources, worksheets, which will help you navigate this process seamlessly. So first, why project struggles? Why do people struggle with projects? It's one, because they've got weak theory selections. They don't know what theory to include, what not to use for their research. Secondly, they just have descriptive literature reviews. They don't have a very intentional literatures which will drive their research. And the third thing is the fact that there is a misalignment in methodology. When methodology is not aligned appropriately, have issues with synthesizing meaning. And the fourth one is the misuse of artificial intelligence. When the age of artificial intelligence and people abuse artificial intelligence. I'll speak to that much later. Again, to recap, many students struggle with theory selections, and the most common issue includes selection of theory, not because they appears in many journals, not because they appears relevant, but because they fit into your scope of your research, the concepts, the hypotheses, the ideas that are tailored for your research. And second is attempting to combine multiple theories without clear justification leads to serious issues. And the third thing is treating theory as a decorative sort of element, decorative additions, so that your project look like bulky and serious. No, that's not the way to do it. So a theoretical framework is not just about name dropping, it's not about just defining, it's about application and its use. So for intellectual ownership is another thing. People who really don't connect, they don't let their voice be known. It's not their voice really. They just reproducing old content and returning it back, which is not the right thing to do. So now we're going to move on to academic decision framework. What I would recommend that you use for you to begin to make significant impact in the industry. So one is this. Think about it. The theory you want to select doesn't align with it. Two is the literature at the position to explain your research findings. For example, your theory is meant to give life and reasoning because you're going to test the theory in the course of the process. That's one thing you're going to do. And the second thing is that it helps you explain your data. And then the same thing, second one, literature positioning. The literatures sort of give you an idea of previous works that have been done in the area of study or related area. It may not even be particular, it may just be very closely related if you don't have things that are as much as good as possible. So the literature should be aligned to work, be able to give some explanatory power. And the third thing is methodological fit. You have to practice one method is most suitable to answer the research question. You have to think about this in a very smart way. You are asked, and you're going to study content. You should know you can ask people through questionnaire. It will be a content analysis. You want to measure perception, what people think, then it goes to the closing. So your methodology is very important. You have to take it in relation to your research questions objective. And then the third thing is the fourth thing, responsible use. Okay. So before selecting a theory, clarify your research problem. a previous video which explained how to identify a gap and how to state a problem. And ask yourself the question, what exactly is my study investigating? Is it examining power structures, representation, identity formation, policy influence, or just an audience reception study? The sharper the research problem is, the clearer the theoretical direction will be. Ambiguous research questions produce theoretical confusion. If you are not clear with your research questions, then you will have issues starting your work within the theoretical. So, how do we make decisions? Know this. A theory is not decoration. It is your analytical lens. Like, it is through the theory that you see your data. So you have to explain it based on the perspective, based on the angle and your understanding of your data. You have to be quite strategic with that. So the next thing I want to say is when you start with a risk question. Well, your theory must make as much effort to answer your research question to some extent. Your theory should be able to answer what exactly you're trying to explain. It should be able to give us insight, foundational knowledge as to what you're trying to answer. The question you are attempting. It is either it has been attempted in theory or it has been attempted with the use of empirical data. So you have to be quite strategic in selecting your theory and ensure that it fits. Give me an example. This is an applied example within the context of the question I was asked based on. I can always do more future questions. Well, now we have social political representation in X-Men. Someone wants to study X-Men. The question should lead to, is this theory speaking to representation? Does it speak to political economy? With primary theory playing? Obviously, if you're looking at social political representation, then political moves should come in. Then if you sort of think about the political economy of category, think about how media has been able to represent it, primary theory, and then representation theory. You see that there is a connection between the topic and the theories that are listed. Now, the justification is yet another important thing. Complete this sentence. I am using this theory because it allows me to dash. So if you are able to fill in this gap with a very good reasoning, then you are very close to the promised land. The second thing is, if you cannot fill the gap clearly, you have to reconsider. You have to reconsider because it just must make sense. So, the literature review. What is the literature review? It's not just a summary of work. It is positioning the work that have been done within the context of your study, telling us how it relates, how it speaks to your present work. Am I making sense? So, I know you've gotten to a point with this video, and I'm not very sure you're subscribed. You want to double check that. So, please have a look. Click on the subscribe button and click on the notification button. That will make you see this video again. I'm waiting. Just gonna pause it. Have you done that? Yes, click that way, subscribe, and then click the notification button. And that will well, we don't have any reason to fight over that. Just do that. Thank you very much. So moving back to where I was coming from. Structured layers. Yeah, let me recap one more time. Your literature is not a summary. Get that right. Perhaps you're distracted by the subscriptions. And if you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? Anyway, do not just summarize. Tell us what has been done, how it has been done, what time they got, and how it is connected or relevant to your present study. That is what we call positioning. Now, structure. It's in layers. Like now, layer one should be your theoretical scholarship. Think about it. You reading other people's work and making sense out of it. That makes you a scholar. You understand? That makes you intelligent. That makes you a reasoning person. You are trying to extract new information from the body of information. That's what some people call systematic literature review. just like meta-analysis of studies in a particular area. I don't want to go to these undergraduate discussion, but show that you understand all of the works. Help us identify it. Second thing is thematic scholarship. What are the major things that's popping up all of this? When combining theories, ensure that the conceptual compatibility is there. Do not combine theories which appear sophisticated. In the way you integrate frameworks, you must be able to address different dimensions of the same phenomenon. Avoid internal contradiction and be as clearly justified in your methodology as possible. Okay, so the whole thing is there. And comparative study. When you're doing a comparative study, you want to be very, very sensitive to context. So you need to make adequate comparison. Does that make sense? Different dimensions, different phenomena, or you trying to bring them to make sense. So now, let's talk about identifying gap. I have a full video on this. You want to go back to my video list, but I have the video that was published just right before this. You find that very interesting, and it comes with a package, a worksheet. So the first thing here is to think about a strong literature review will show us what is known, what has been done. So I like the debates, the arguments in the field. And the third thing is like to identify what is under examined. What is under examined then teaches you to the point of thinking, oh, this thing that is under examined might be the gap. That's what we're going to. That's how to identify a gap. Okay, example of a gap statement. Why scholars have examined X? The second step is limited attention has been paid to Y, which is the gap. Then you then state your problem. Therefore, this study contributes by, you understand that now. This is a practical exercise for you as a student. Write a research question on one sentence. Identify the key analytical concept. List 3 possible theories that will help you explain and help you make sense of the study. And then justify why one offers the strongest explanatory power. If you're able to do it, you won't just be using a random theories or many theories. You have a major and then have sub theories. So encourage yourself. Write it out. Write it out before your supervision meeting and justify it. You need to ignore your supervision meetings. Okay, now your method must answer your questions. Yes, this is about method. Methodological fix your method must answer your question. Well, why guiding some students avoiding prescribing theory is very important. You don't prescribe. Maybe let them. I will let you think about it, know it, and then tell me why you're choosing that particular method. And instead of that, I'll say, what exactly are you analyzing? But after that question, you should be able to tell me that I am trying to analyze this. So what kind of explanation are you seeking? What kind of explanation you want to offer? So now, what assumptions are you making about the society or media? What was your original position? What's your philosophy? What was your understanding? What background are you coming from? Does this make sense? If it doesn't make sense, put something in the comment to make me know that it makes sense. All right? So the next thing you want to do is show that there's alignment with your questions. The alignment questions. The first, what data do I need? Do you need a quantitative data? Do you need a qualitative data? Do you need both, which is a mixed method? Note that down. Second, what method produces the data that you want? What method produces that data? If it is qualitative, would it be interview, focus group? What kind of method? If it is quantitative, could it be questionnaire? Could it be content analysis? Like quantitative content analysis. And then can you implement it rigorously? Can you do it without flaws? Or without serious flaws? There's no study without flaws. At least it can. So you should be able to provide a strong theoretical alignment that shows that your questions are aligned appropriately. So clear conceptual definitions, consistent use of theory in the analysis, and coherent linkage between theory and your findings. Weak alignment results in fragmented. All right. So apply the examples. Let's take a look at some examples here. All right. Look how to recurring team in frame qualitative content analysis. Think about recurring teams. Yes. What are those major things that you're seeing? Are you beginning to see that there's a theme of corruption? Are you beginning to see that there's a theme of depicting women in a very negative way? Are they appearing like essential objects? Or is there this negative connotation around, politicization of things, or connected to the, the deduction of meaning, or this fallacy, it's generalization, how is it? Cultural elements in all of these things. Two, audience interpretation. I just spoke to you. Think about it. We semi-structured interview help you. But the recurring thing, don't forget, qualitative content analysis may help. And if you want to do quantitative, then you have to then do the coding sheets. Sometime later, I'll speak to that. Okay, all right. And the third thing here is, let's say you want to study, want to quantify the report of framing content and more. You want to do frequency of newspaper reading. That will be a quantitative content analysis. So begin to think about these things, and this is how to apply. If you have any specific questions, it is the right time. Okay, so now let's talk about method justification. How do you justify? If you cannot explain why your method produces, if you cannot explain why your method produces your data, your justification is incomplete. You should be able to give a why for why your method produces your data and how your method produces your data, and also how the data was gotten through the method. See, just all right. The justification is incomplete if you are unable to do this. All right, so the next thing I am saying very random. Yeah, think about it. Yeah. AI is not you. This is your project. You are ready, you're going to mark. If AI writes and writes wrong, you can't go back to the AI. You are responsible for your AI. AI is still a tool, and it has to be used as a tool. I put an armor. I must fit a nail on the head, and eventually eats his hand. Doesn't know how to use it too. Use it AI. AI is not an author. AI can produce and give you some ideas, give you some structures based on its mathematical ability. It cannot help you identify problem. Okay, let me do some recap. Why you're looking at this thing that about AI is very important. Clarify the research problem, which you have done this yourself, identify the analytical intention. You have done this, compare theoretical fits, tests against the data, and justify academically. See, your AI use your AI use strategy determines this. If you're smart, you should use it in which you use that. That will be a problem for you. So you need to be smart, and that's why I'm making this video. No, another way to be smart is for you to subscribe to this channel, because I'm offering value. If I have, then what are you waiting for? Just subscribe. But it doesn't matter, you know that. It won't take you anything. It's only encourage you. You don't want to encourage me. Change your ways. And hit the subscribe button right now. Hey, I wait. Yes. Yes, that's it. All right. Thank you for that. So we'll move on to the next thing, which is the fact that AI is not. It is not an author. So you have to think about it that way, and you're responsible for your own work. So the extensive use of AI is for you. It's like you can use it to understand what you're doing. Identify definitions. You can use it to structure your outline, sort of plan yourself. You can use it to refine grammar. And when in this context, don't just put your original personal text and put it into an AI. That doesn't work. That's going to put you in trouble eventually. Because whatever you take out of it, so you can invest in tools like Grammarly. That's an AI. Spell checker, grammar fixer, and more. So you can also use AI to ask to generate reflective questions that can help you think further. Sort of brainstorming. Okay. Let's move on. Unacceptable use. Copying generated paragraph. No. I'm having a proposal handing on a check 8% AI started being generative. That's not going anywhere. Two, fabricating references. AI is good at this. And fabricating references, you have the responsibility of checking and ensuring that what you are citing is what you are listing, and it exists and it's not just fiction. So you can outsource analysis. You can let this process part of the pace, the way you are trained. Undergraduate degree is like an apprenticeship degree. Master's degree is when you become a master in the work that you're an apprentice. And PhD is when you are a doctor, a master, a senior pro of it. Take time to let some of these things will help you. Okay. Integrity, principle. That's not about this. So you cannot defend the brand with your own voice the first reverse without reading. Do not. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to simple like that. If you cannot defend it, do not submit it. That will help you. Now I want to present to you a checklist. I think you should look at your theory. You should ask yourself, is my theory clearly applied in your proposal? Will it be clearly applied in your discussion? Is it clearly synthesized in your conclusion? That's the key question. If it is not applied, then the theory is not ready, it's not useful there. So you have to ensure it is. The second thing is that is your literature strategically positioned to explain your study. So there has to be a connection from the introduction, from the statement of the problem to the method, and then literature review to the literature from the introduction, literature review, and the empirical review, and then the method. There should be like a sequence of flow. At least said to the gap and then the data. Then that is the conclusion, and then the findings and then the conclusion. All right. So the next thing is that those my method, your method that you see connected to it, does it answer the question? And also, can I defend every paragraph I've written? If you're able to answer these first questions, congratulations, you're doing well. And you do well when you're defense. And I can guarantee you, and you can't score until less than 70. Because if you know what you're doing, there's no reason why that lecturer is provide such a your score back. Let me close with this. Strong projects are used for deliberate academic decisions. And you have to think, you have to align, you have to justify, and then you can rephrase it. So if you have made it to the end of this video, just go to the description, you find a link for a worksheet that will help you put this entire lesson into application. God bless you. I'll see you in my next video.